Whee! Hey guys, we're gonna make the Kelvin corrugated plastic solar car. Alright, you're gonna get a bag of supplies. You and a partner are going to be putting this solar car together. One thing you'll have to decide is who is going to take it home when you get finished. In your bag, you're gonna have some instructions. I mean, let's be honest. Half of you are probably going to read these, the other half of y'all are not. Okay? But you can take a look at those if you need to. You will also have a blue piece of corrugated plastic. You are only going to get one of these. So don't come up to me crying, going, Mr. Matter, I messed up my corrugated plastic, I made a mistake. You got to pay attention and watch this video and listen to the directions, because I'm not going to give you another one of these pieces of plastic. Okay? You also have a solar cell. People ask me all the time. They're like, Mr. Manor, how does this solar car work? Well, the power of the sunshine, it gets trapped in the solar cell and it generates electricity, which then will in turn turn this motor. This is a little motor right here. And it's going to engage some wheels. And these wheels have gears. Okay? Now you see this little baggie right here? Don't you dare open it up until it's time to open up the bag. If you open it up immediately, I guarantee you're going to lose the parts. And don't come up to me crying, go, Mr. Matter, I lost all my parts, I don't know where they went. Because you probably opened your bag up and they fell on the floor, and now you don't know where they are. So, do me a favor, don't open this up yet, okay? Save that for later. You're also going to get one of these little dowels right here. This is a wooden dowel. It looks like a little wooden stick. So, a wooden dowel is a wooden stick, guys. There you go. So that's what's in your bag. Now that's not everything that you need, but it's what you need to get started. Everybody loves to break stuff. I'm gonna break this right here. We're gonna take a look at it. Okay. So I pulled that solar cell off of there. I'm gonna get this off of there so you can see this. See this little dealie right here? This little tower right here is called the solar cell tower. Okay. If you look at the directions, that's the first thing that you're gonna build in the directions. But you know what? We're gonna come back to that and we're gonna skip a step. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look in my little book here. I'm on page 3 and I'm gonna turn the page and I'm gonna go over here to page number 4 and we're gonna make the chassis. That's gonna be the very first thing that we're gonna be making. And this, when I'm talking about the chassis, I'm talking about the body of the car. That thing's the chassis. And that is what we're gonna do first. This part right here on page 4. And we're gonna need this thing. You're also gonna need a ruler. And you're definitely gonna need a Sharpie. We're gonna be taking some measurements. I don't know if you can see it, but dead in the center right here, it says that the chassis is 204 by 75 millimeters. That's how big this rectangle is right here. So we're going to measure that first. We'll get that out of here. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to get my ruler here. And notice how I'm not going to start at the last little edge right here. That's like a negative number right there. So we're going to push it up here to right there. Okay. And I'm going to start it right there at that little line right there. Now, it said 204 millimeters. Okay. Now you have to look at the ruler here. You see the little ones here? This other side, that's inches. This is centimeters right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing 204 millimeters. Well, I know that 20 centimeters is equivalent to 200 millimeters. Okay. So I'm going to go up here at the 20. And then I'm going to count. I'm going to know that that 20 centimeters is 200 millimeters. So I'm going to go 201, 202, 203, 204. And then I'm going to put a little mark right there at 204 millimeters, which is 204 of these little bitty dashes. Okay? It's just past that little 20 centimeter line. Right here I go 201, 202, 203, 204. Okay? So I got my little mark here. I'm going to draw a line straight across. Bloop. just like that. Okay? This part is going to be the body of your chassis. So I'm going to get my kitchen shears. My kitchen shears are these cool heavy-duty scissors. They're going to cut through this corrugated plastic like hot butter. Okay? Now, just for the sake of convenience here, we're going to label this. And this, you don't have to do this. This is just for me in the video. Okay? So that's the measurements we're working with here. This is 204 millimeters by 75 millimeters. Okay? That's the measurements that you're doing right there. Then I'm going to trim this up like so. Oops. I'm going to tear that last little bit. Okay? Now I have two pieces here. So I have this piece right here to build the chassis, which is this piece. Okay? And I have all of this left over right here to help me build the solar cell tower right here. And then also this part here where the wheel engages right there. Okay? So you should have these two big pieces now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make the back part of our chassis. Okay? Well, it's got some specific measurements right there. And what I need to do is I need to go about 16.5 millimeters. And I'm going to show you where that is on the ruler. Okay? So we know that 1 centimeter is equal to 10. Well, if I go here, right past there, I'm going to go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so we're going to do 16.5, which is right about there. Okay, so I'm going to mark that right here. And I'm going to put that on camera so you can see. There we go. So this right here is at 16.5. Okay, now I'm going to do that same thing again on the other side. Okay, so I'm right here at the number 1. And here it is. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. About 16.5 of those. Okay, so I got 2 little marks. Okay, these little marks are 16.5 centimeters away from the edge. Okay, then I'm going to measure up 46 inches. Well, I'm blowing some minds now, I know. What you're going to do is you're going to take and go here at the 1, that's 10. Here at the 2, that's 20, 30, 40 millimeters. Okay, well, I know if I go here in the middle, that's 45. So I'm going to mark right here, that little notch right there, and that's going to be 46 centimeters. Okay? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to make some marks here. Like that. Okay? So I have this distance right here, 16.5 centimeters is the measurement right here. This again on the other side is about 16.5 centimeters away from this edge. And then this right here is 46 millimeters. Okay? Then you got these 2 little rectangles, and what's ultimately going to happen with this is these are going to get cut out. So let me go ahead and cut those out. And I'll just see if I can get that going. There you go. I'm going to cut this one out. There it is. There is the back of our chassis. We just did this part right here. Okay. Now we got to do the other side. This part, the front. Now we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to get the side of my ruler that says centimeters. And what we're looking for now is we are going to do 14.5 centimeters. Well, I know that that's going to be, here's 10, and then halfway here, that's 15. So I'm going to just put a little dot right in between there at 14.5. Okay. I'm going to slide my ruler up here right about the 15. Okay, and then I'm going to mark a little mark right here. Okay, so I got this right here is 14.5 centimeters away from this edge right here. This mark is 14.5 centimeters away from this edge. Well, now what we need to do is we need to measure 40 millimeters this way. So I'm going to put my ruler here at the edge, and I'm going to go 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay? Easy peasy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my little rectangles here. And I'm going to use my ruler to line up just like that. There you go. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice in the drawing here is that it's kind of curved. So what you can do is you can kind of put a curve on the front. And that way you'll know that that is the front because it's curved. Okay. So all of this stuff right here, that's all going to get cut out. So I'm going to do that right now. So again, this right here, this mark right here, this one right there was 40 millimeters from here. Okay. This little mark right here, that was 14.5 millimeters. Okay. So I made this rectangle here that was 40 millimeters by 14.5 millimeters. So that's the dimensions of this little rectangle right here. And then I just kind of drew a curve right there. Now I'm going to cut all that stuff out. And I'm going to make sure to go with my curve here. Like that. Get out of there. And I'm going to clean up that little curve. Get it looking good. Now I have the front and I have the back. Alright, we were on page number 4. Remember, we skipped to the chassis part. We're going to skip back to the beginning part, step number 1. Now we're going to make this thing right here. This is the solar cell tower. Now you'll notice that this is adjustable. And the reason that is because sometimes the sunlight might be pointing this way, or sometimes the sunlight might be pointing this way. So the reason this is adjustable is so that you can catch the light, because the light is going to enter the solar cell, go to the motor, and generate electricity. Okay, and that's ultimately going to spin the gears on your wheel. So that's why that's adjustable. We need to take some time to make this solar cell tower. You'll notice here on step 1 that you're going to need to make 4 12 by 30 millimeter pieces. Hey guys, do you remember this piece right here? Well, we're going to take this. We don't want to fool with our chassis piece, so we're good with that for a minute. We're going to take this piece right here. Now you see the corrugated part right here? We have this rectangle right here. I'm going to turn it portrait like this way, long ways. And I am going to put it on the table, and then I'm going to get my ruler here, and I am going to measure at 40. No, I'm sorry, 30 millimeters. I read that wrong. So we're gonna mark this at 30 millimeters. So there's 10, 20, and 30. So 30 millimeters is the same as 3 centimeters. So I see how I'm a little mark there. What I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna check my other side, and I'm gonna mark the 3 there. And I got 2 little marks, and I'm gonna make a line straight across. So I don't want it to be crooked. Okay? So I've got the corrugated here on the side, and it says long ways. And this little line is 30 millimeters up. Okay, so that's 30 millimeters right there. Now we need to make 4 pieces within this rectangle, and each of those needs to be 12 millimeters long. So let me show you how to do that. So we'll do this. I'm gonna get on my ruler here. I'm gonna put it at the 1 right there. So that's equivalent. 1 centimeter is equivalent to 10 millimeters. So I'm gonna slide it over here to the 12. I'm gonna go 1, 10, 11, 12. And then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna mark it right here. Okay? So that's about, oh, I was a little off there. I'm gonna put that down on the table so I get it right. Okay? So I'm marking this right here at this mark right here. Okay? And I'm gonna draw a straight line across just like that. Okay? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna go right here. It says this is 1 centimeter right here, and then I'm gonna slide it over just a little bit to 11 and 12, and then I'm gonna mark right here. Now I have 2 of those. Okay, see the pattern here? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna put this right here at 11 and 12. This is 12, and this distance right here is 12 millimeters. I'm gonna draw another line. Okay, now I've got 3. I'm gonna do it again. You see a pattern here? I'm gonna put it here at the 12 mark, which is right here on my ruler, and then I'm gonna mark back here, and then I'm gonna draw the line again. Okay, now I have 4 of these. Okay, so each of these right here are 12 millimeters. Okay, and they're 30 millimeters long. I'm sorry, I said inches. I'm tired. Okay, so each piece here is 12 millimeters by 30 millimeters. So now I'm going to cut those out. And the great thing about this is if you mess up, you got that much more to work with. Okay. Ooh, that flew up in the air. So be careful. They're going to jump on you. Now I got my 4 pieces here, and these 4 pieces are gonna be this one, this one, this one, and this one right here. Now it's time to make this piece that's right in here. That one's covered up with tape. Alright, so the step that we're working on here is under step 1. It says 1 piece that's 25 by 40 millimeters. So I'm gonna get my leftover here. So far, what have we cut out? We got these 4 pieces here and our chassis. Okay, we're gonna set those aside. Here's what we have left to work with. Okay, well, we got this right here, so that's good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure 25 millimeters here. Okay, so I'm gonna try to not be wasteful. I'm gonna just mark it. Here is 25 right there. Okay, so I'm gonna set that down, and this is at the halfway between 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters, and 2 centimeters is equivalent to 20 millimeters, and then halfway between the two, that's equivalent to 25 millimeters. So what I'm going to do now is just mark right here where this line is right there on the ruler. Okay, then I'm going to turn this way, and I'm going to put it at the 4 for 40 millimeters, and I'm going to mark right here, and I'm going to draw a little line. Okay, so I have a piece now that is 25 by 40 millimeters. Okay, I'm gonna cut it out. All right, let's do a little inventory. We got our chassis, we got our 4 little pieces here that we just measured, and we also have this little piece that is 25 by 40 millimeters, and these little pieces which are 12 by 30 millimeters. Now we're going to get this wooden dowel, and we're going to make some measurements on here. Well, if you look at the directions here, it says to mark the dowel here at 55 millimeters. And we want to do that twice. So I've got my wooden dowel here, and I'm going to get my handy dandy ruler here, and we're going to mark it at the 55 mark. Well, we know that 5 centimeters is equivalent to 50 millimeters. Now if we go halfway between that, between the 5 and the 6, that is 55 millimeters right here. Okay, now I'm going to make a little mark right there that's pretty heavy, and I might just go all the way around the dowel like that. Okay, then we're going to move our ruler up here, and we're going to mark it again. Okay, just like that. So I've got my dowel marked 2 different times at 55. So each one of these is 55 millimeters long. Now this one's going to be a little bit shorter. Now ultimately what's going to happen is we're going to cut this. Mr. Metter is going to cut this with the bandsaw. So you're going to take your dowel and you're going to bring it to Mr. Metter, and he's going to help you cut it. So now that we're done sawing these in half, it should look like this. And if you did a good job measuring, they should be roughly the same size. Each of these is 55 millimeters. Okay, now we're going to get this piece right here. Remember, we had the 4 little ones and the chassis, and we got this one here. We're going to take this one. You'll notice that it kind of has this groove right here where the corrugation from the plastic is. Well, I'm going to get some hot glue, and I'm going to run a bead of glue in that little canyon there of the corrugation. Then I'm going to take my little dowel here and put it right there. Ooh la la, that looks good. Okay, I'm going to wipe that excess glue off. Be careful because the glue might be hot. I'm going to flip it over. Again, you'll notice there's a little groove right there, a little canyon. You can put your glue in there. It's like the mustard in the hot dog bun. Okay. So now I'm going to drop that in. Okay. Now you should have the little dowels sticking off the edge just like this. Okay. This should just be just a little bit longer than this piece here. I like to take a little piece of tape and wrap it around here tightly. That way I know that those dowels are not coming out. Now it's not going to make your solar car look pretty, but let's be honest, solar cars aren't supposed to look like sports cars. It's a solar car. Now the next part, this is where it blows a lot of people's minds. Now do you see these little holes here? If you very carefully twist that on to the little wooden dowel here and go back and forth like that, it's almost like you're screwing it on. it'll actually go into the corrugation pretty easily. So just imagine that you kind of put it on there crooked to get the point into the dowel, and you just kind of put it on like a little hat, and then you kind of start to twist like so. Okay, so you see how we're got our little platform that we're starting there. You know what I might do? I might move that over one into that little hole. Okay, now if that's too difficult for you, come see Mr. Better, he'll help you out. I realize that that's difficult for you to do. So I'm going to find that middle hole, one of those middle holes right here, and I'm just going to try to put the corner of it in there, and I'm going to just start to twist and put a little bit of pressure on there. And you'll actually see the corrugation of the plastic, it'll discolor because it's getting stretched out. So I got one more to go. I'm going to just push it in there best as I can. And be gentle. Give it some pressure, but be gentle. You don't want to break it. But if you do break it, you have this whole piece left over to make more. Now you'll notice that we have sort of this like letter I looking thing. This is the solar cell tower. And ultimately, this is going to get glued on to the chassis. Alright, so we're going to take our chassis here. Remember that this is the front and this is the back. And I'm just shooting for the middle here. And I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue here on the bottom. And I'm just going to eyeball this thing. And I'm just going to put it right smack dab in the middle here. And I'm going to put a little pressure there and hold it there long enough to let the hot glue set up. And right here, sort of in the middle, you don't have to measure it, you just eyeball it. And just kind of put that little solar cell tower right there in the middle, and you'll be good to go. So now, we are going to make the part of the solar motor assembly. Now if you see these two little pieces right here, this is what we're making next. Now you'll notice that this particular person had to add an extra piece of wood there to give it some more distance off of the chassis. We're going to focus on making these two little rectangles right here that are underneath the motor, which is part of the solar motor assembly. Well, if you look on page number 4, this is page 4, you'll see at the top of the page that we need to make two pieces of 15 by 45 millimeter pieces. So we're going to do that right now. So I've got my little leftover piece here, and I think what I'm going to do is I am going to measure using my centimeter side here. I am going to flip over to this side because it's longer, and I'm going to measure at the 45 mark. Well, I know that 4 centimeters is equivalent to 40 millimeters, so I'm going to go halfway between the 4 and the 5, and that's 45 millimeters. Well, I need to make two pieces. Okay, so I'm going to just draw a line real quick right here. So this little line right here, that's 45 millimeters long. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make two pieces that are 15 millimeters wide. So I'm going to get my ruler here, and I'm going to go halfway between the 1 and the 2, because I know that 1 centimeter right here is equivalent to 10 millimeters, and halfway between the 1 and the 2, that's 15 millimeters. So I have this little rectangle right here. It's 15 millimeters by 45. So I'm going to make another one of those, and I'm going to just move this line right here halfway between the 1 and the 2, and I'm going to draw a line right there, and I'm going to know that that is 15 millimeters by 45. So now it's time to cut this out. So there's not a lot of room for error, because as you can see, this is what we have left. So it's very important to pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to cut these in half. now I have these two pieces that we're going to glue together. Okay? So I'm going to do that right now. Just like that. So what do we have? We have our chassis, and now we got the base of our solar motor assembly. So the thing that we just made, which is the base of the solar motor assembly, that's a spacer. And what's going to happen is the motor is going to rest on top of that. Now we're about to make this thing right here. This holds the motor onto the spacer. So you're going to need to be on the lookout for one of these metal strips. It's a little strip of aluminum. Okay? And you're going to need Mr. Metter's help for this. And what he's going to do is he's going to drill some holes in here. Now, in some cases I might let you drill the hole, but in most cases Mr. Metter will drill it for you, because a lot of times people get overzealous and excited to use the drill, so excited that they snap the drill bit. So sometimes it's just easier for Mr. Metter to do it. So I'm going to drill some holes here. And you're probably wondering, Mr. Metter, why are you drilling holes? Well, the reason I'm drilling holes is because these little holes, they're going to have some screws to get screwed into here. So I'm going to take and just drill another hole on this other side. Boom. So it should look like this. You have a hole over here and a hole over here. So now the name of the game is we're going to take this aluminum strip and we're going to form it around the motor. So watch what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of wrapping it around like that. Okay? Now ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to take and bend the sides out like this. Okay? And then what's going to happen is that is going to get screwed down to the spacer like that. Okay? So for this part, you might need Mr. Metter to drill some holes into your spacer. You just go see him real quick and he'll put some holes in there. And these are just little pilot holes to help you get your motor in there. I like to just start with the one screw, and I just kind of get it started. I'm going to try to get my hands to where you can kind of tell what's happening here. So basically all I'm doing here is I'm just kind of getting the screw to get started and go through the aluminum strip. Okay. So I've got it kind of cut it in there a little bit. You'll notice that the screw is kind of stuck in there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with the hole right here. Okay. And oopsie. Then I'm going to try my best to screw through the aluminum strip and into the plastic. Let me see if I can get out of the way so you can see that. Okay. Now if you get too overzealous, you're going to poke through to the other side. So we want to not poke through the other side. So if it's up a little bit like that, it's okay. Now I'm going to get my motor here. I'll form that down like so. Okay, and I'm going to just push it out just a little bit like that. Okay. Then I'm going to get another screw and I'm going to start screwing the other side down. So here I go. Wish me luck. Oops, I already messed up. Mr. Metter makes mistakes too. So that, good thing I got the magnetic tip on the screwdriver here. Alright. So I'm going to try my best. This might take a couple of tries. Try not to give up so easily. Okay, but if you have a great difficulty with it and they're just in the throes of despair, come see Mr. Minter. He'll help you out. But by all means, give it a try before you do that. Alright, so I got both of those screwed down. Now you'll notice my motor it got pushed in a little bit. We want to just push it out just a little bit like that. So now I've got the solar motor assembly is looking like it's in pretty good shape. So now it's time to open up this little baggie. And what we're going to do here is we're going to get this gear that looks like that. Well, if you'll notice in the instructions right here, it says sand the flat side of the larger yellow gear to a thickness of 5 millimeters to allow the shaft of the motor to penetrate into the gear deeper. Well, in plain English, what that means is that we need to sand this side down just a little bit. So I'm going to get some sandpaper here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that off. Okay? And you'll know it's working because you'll see all this like yellow dust start to form. And I'm just going to sand that down just a little bit. And just come see Mr. Minter. He'll have some sandpaper here. Now what that's doing is it's decreasing the thickness so where we can actually get that motor onto the little shaft here better. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to squeeze that onto there, and don't squeeze it so far down that it doesn't spin. See what I just did there? Did you feel how that snapped a little bit? Okay, what I might need to do is take some pliers and just pull it out, but you know what, we'll give it a try. Maybe we'll just leave it like that. I think we sanded enough off of there. You know what, I changed my mind. We're gonna get some pliers. Alright, so I got my pliers now, and I'm gonna pull this off. Okay, and I'm gonna put that back on again. I don't want it to be so close. I want there to be just a tiny bit of distance between the motor and the gear. So I'm just going to kind of pull it just a little bit. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but there is just a tiny bit of space between the motor and the gear, and that's going to help it spin freely. And I'm just pulling just a little bit. Now don't pull it all the way off. Okay? See how I got this to spin really freely, right? Like that? That's great. Okay, so now we're just going to slide this bad boy back in here. And you want this to be pushed up like a push pop a little bit. Okay, so that spins freely. Okay, see how there's just a tiny bit of space in there. If you can see it right there. That's what you're going for. And the way that we did that was we didn't push it all the way down. And then the other good thing that we did was we made sure to sand a little bit of this edge off right here. Okay, so don't forget to do that. And again, leave just a tiny bit of space there. You can take some pliers and just barely pull it up to where it spins nice and free. There we go. See, that's perfect, right? Gets a good little spin. It's kind of like a little fidget spinner, isn't it? Alright, so we've got the back here of my chassis. You remember when we curved the front here? We can actually take a pair of scissors, and if you want to get fancy, you can just curve a little bit off of the back. Okay, just like that's fine. Now what we're gonna do, this one that's just a little bit thinner than this side, this is the front right here, guys. Okay, so this is the back. What we're gonna do is you're gonna hot glue this on there like so. So I'm gonna get my glue gun, put a little bead of glue right there, and I'm just gonna put it down right here. and it's like it was meant to be. Okay. Spinning nice and good. It's on there, right about there. This is about the right distance. It's looking great. So we're gonna go back to our bag of parts here. We got some wheels and we got some axles. Okay, this is what we have. Okay. So this piece right here is just garbage. You don't need it. These two, sometimes people will see these. You can use these as axles as well. But these are our little axles for the wheels. And we're gonna take these right here. These are the front wheels. And I'm just gonna push one of them into there, like that. Okay, it's like snapping together a model. So I've got my little umbrella looking thing right here. And this is gonna go on the front of the chassis. And it's up to you where you stick it in. You could put it all the way up at the front. You could maybe put it in the middle here. Okay, but if you slide it back too far, it's gonna hit right here. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put it right up here, smack dab at the front, and then I'm gonna put my other wheel on here, and I'm gonna just snap that together. Okay, so I got my little wheels right here. Okay, and they're spinning pretty good. Now I'm going to take these two wheels. These are the back wheels. They have the little embedded gear on them. And I'm going to put one of the axles in. I'm going to put the axle in one of the back wheels right here and just snap it in. Now here's where it gets tricky. A lot of people get frustrated with this part because you're going to have to like troubleshoot this. Do you notice how that my gear is having a hard time fitting into there? Well, I'm going to maybe go back a little bit. See, okay, so I just adjusted it. Like I noticed right here that it didn't fit. So what I did is I went back one hole. And I noticed that fit a little bit better. But then I just slid it back just a little bit more and that fits perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to spin that, and do you see how the gear engages the wheel? So I think I just found the sweet spot, which was right here about the third hole. So you'll have to play around with it. Like if you go too far over, it's gonna not work right. But if you do this next hole, it might work a little bit better. And then if you push up to this other hole, that is fitting really good. Okay, so I think that's the magic one. So I'm gonna snap on the other side. Okay, so I think that's engaging pretty well. Okay. It's looking good. Now it's time to glue on our solar cell. We're gonna put it right here. We're gonna put a little bit of glue here, and I'm just gonna take my solar cell and just squish it onto there like that. Easy peasy. Now what we're gonna do is you're gonna need to get Mr. Metter to help you with this. You're gonna take the wire stripper, and we're gonna strip just a little bit of wire off of here to expose some of the wire inside. Okay, see how I just stripped that off? Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the black. Just pull that off. Okay, so now I have exposed these wires pretty well. Well, now it's time to wire this thing up. So you can do red to red. And I've got an alligator clip right here. Some of y'all may or may not have the alligator clip. And I'm just going to open the little alligator's mouth and just put the wire inside. And then I might take and just kind of twist it around there. And then I'm going to take my black one here and alligator clip that into there. And I'm just going to twist the wire there. Now, one thing that you can do is make sure they have a good connection. And then you can kind of tuck the wires so they're out of the way of the wheels, but they're not on top of the solar cell. And this thing is wired up. So we did black to black and red to red. Now, it all depends, but when you take this outside and when the sunshine hits the cell, it might go forward. Or it might go backward. Now, if it's going the wrong direction, what you can then do is troubleshoot it by doing the opposite, and you can see if it changes directions. So then you could clamp the red wire into the black alligator clip and the black wire into the red alligator clip, and I bet you $1 that it's going to change directions. So that's one good troubleshooting tip. The other thing that you're going to have to do when you take this outside is you're going to have to troubleshoot where the gear engages the wheel. And I see people all the time that get frustrated. They're like, Mr. Matter, it's not working. Okay, well, you are going to need to maybe make some adjustments and push in the motor, maybe push it out a little bit. Okay, you might also have to take off the wheels on the back, and you might have to adjust the distance here and move it back or forward. Okay, so you're gonna have to play around with that. It might not automatically work right off the bat, so you will have to troubleshoot your solar car when you're outside, but you're gonna have a great time playing with this. It's a whole lot of fun.